Welcome to this monthly meeting of Devonport City Council. It is Monday, June 28th, and it is 5:30. Council acknowledges and pays respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land. All persons in attendance are advised that it is council policy to record council meetings in accordance with council's digital recording policy. The digital recording of this meeting will be made available to the public on Council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. And just a reminder that this meeting is being live streamed via Council's YouTube channel. Item 1 is apologies, and we have a full complement of councillors tonight, so there are no apologies. Item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in any item on the public agenda tonight? No. Item 3.1 is confirmation of minutes. Do I move on the confirmation of minutes of the meeting of the 24th of May, please?
Sorry.
Councillor John, thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Murphy, thank you. Any comments, Councillor Brown?
No, nothing.
Councillor Murphy?
Interesting.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Anyone else? Councillor John, to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 3.2 is public question time, and item 3.2.1 is responses to questions raised at prior meetings, and there is a recommendation there. May I have a move, please?
So moved.
Councillor Terry, thank you.
Second.
Councillor Milborn, thank you. Councillor
That's all in the report. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Milborn,
Nothing better. Nothing better.
thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Terry, closed.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 3.2.2 is questions on notice from the public, and there is a recommendation together with a summary of those responses on page 7. Do I have a move, please?
No moved.
Councillor Murphy.
I'll second that.
Councillor Murphy. Anything to add?
It's Councillor Hollister.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
It's quite okay.
I beg your pardon. Councillor Hollister is the mover and Councillor Blake was the seconder. So I'm trying to get it right. Councillor Hollister.
Further I all in the report.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Nothing. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Hollister to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 3.2.3 is questions without notice from the public, which is the opportunity for members of the gallery to step forward, state their name and address, and ask any question. And noting that we have a maximum of 3 questions.
Three, was it 3? Right, Trevor Smith, 7 Glen Court, Devonport. Dear Chairperson, I wish to submit this question. Mayor, I have been told Council decides when footpaths are constructed on the basis of walkability and medium walkability. In relation to walkability and medium walkability, could you please explain to me and other members of an ageing community in Devonport the definition of what that means and why it is so important to this council to make a start on the footpaths from 3 Surrey Street all the way to 61 Surrey Street, with the majority of residents paying rates for over 46 years and still waiting for a footpath. Thank you. Second question. Why was my question 3 on notice for tonight's meeting not answered? The question was about Glen Court footpath safety and was, as it reads, will you ensure and confirm that you will record in Council Safety Hazard Register that I have brought to your attention that there remain some dangerous sections of footpath raised edges between the slabs that should be rectified immediately? Has the concern been registered as requested? If not, and where will you make sure it is?
Thank you. Mr. Atkins?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Just to answer those two questions, the first one we've previously written to Mr Smith in regard to Council's priorities around the Sorrell Street footpath. In relation to the second question, the response notes that a work order has been raised. So a work order is the process that council uses to record the work in its system. So there is a record of the defect that was raised.
It hasn't had an answer that replied to my question in the agenda.
In that case, I apologise for that, but it does indicate that it has been included in our
Yeah,
resource.
but now the question should have an answer.
Thank you.
Right,
Okay.
thank you, that's good.
Ladies, gentlemen and councillors, well, may I say I'm delighted to see the Honourable Councillor Laycock back on duty, and I must thank the minute taker who always does a very good job.
Mr Mills, would you like to begin with your name and address, please?
Oh, yes.
As we request. Thank you.
Question, yes. Christopher Mills, 52 Caroline Street.
Thank you.
Councillors, may I refresh your memories of my question 3 without notice of the meeting 26th of April? I know it's 2 months ago. My question referred to this, the Devonport Council, and was more or less what is the elected member's protocol for terminating the employment of the General Manager. The Mayor proposed to answer this question in writing. I did remind the Mayor of her undertaking at the following meeting on the 24th of May. My reminder, as the minutes show, was totally ignored by the Mayor. With respect to the office of Mayor, I am politely asking for the second time, will the Mayor now honour her word, treat me fairly and respectfully, and respond in writing to my question? That is the question.
My apologies if I have not already responded, Mr Mills. I absolutely will undertake to do that in writing this week.
I have another question. I think I am right in saying that it is the Executive Coordinator and the General Manager who provide the responses to questions on notice. These responses are then unanimously endorsed by the elected councillors. The response to my question 3 on notice for this meeting, 28th June, was: responses are provided in the method considered most appropriate at the time and was in accordance with Council's policy and legislative requirements. Then, to clarify for the elected members and myself, what specific council policy and legislative requirements are the elected coordinator and the general manager referring to? That is the question.
Thank you, Mr Evans.
Through you, Madam Mayor, council has a public question time policy which it aims to comply with, and there's a whole raft of legislation that council is required to ensure that it adheres to.
With the greatest of respect, could you respond to that in writing? Because I'd really like to know. I think I've asked you to clarify it. What specific requirements, legislative requirements, are you and the executive coordinator referring to?
If you would prefer, Mr Mills,
Yes, I
we will respond in writing. Did you have a third question?
Thank you so much. I do have another question.
Thank you.
I did ask the question on notice, question 3 for this evening's agenda, which is: can the Mayor categorically deny that since April 9th, 2020, the General Manager and the Mayor have had an understanding not to respond directly to any questions that I may raise? The Executive Coordinator and the General Manager and the Mayor have totally avoided answering this question. May I ask you, Mayorship, directly, will you categorically deny that you and the General Manager have an understanding not to answer my questions? That is the question.
The question is categorically denied Mr Mills. I think given the number of questions and opportunities that you've had to ask questions, I think it's quite clear that we are always prepared to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Rodney Russell, 225 Steel Street, Devonport. The road surface of Victory Avenue is breaking up in places. Is the repair covered by a warranty with the contractor?
We'll take that one on notice. Mr Russell, did you have another question?
Thank you. The Aurora power installation in the garden of the multi-storey car park has 2 Devonport City Council planning notices stuck on it. At the January council meeting, I asked council what was its policy on the removal of past planning notices. I believe your answer was you would follow this up. Could you give me an update, please?
On that particular piece of paper or in general, Mr Russell?
The 2 particular planning notices which are stuck to the Aurora installation.
Through you, Mayor, there's a current planning developed application for some signage in the multi-storey car park. One of those signs, the signs that Mr Russell is referring to would be for that application.
In other words, they're current, Mr Russell.
Thank you. Queen Mary Rest Park. It's good to see the security fence has been removed. I see you have now extended the footpath on the corner. Some of the stones have been removed, which performed the border. Will you be replacing these stones or removing the rest of the stones that are still there?
We'll take that on notice, Mr Russell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr Bellicott and Mr Hess, thank you. No, Mr Bellicott, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Bob Bellicott, ratepayer, 11 Cocker Place, Devonport. The subject tonight is on unanswered questions asked at the meeting of the 24th of 2021, openness and transparency issues to do with Providore Place. Question 1, Mayor and Councillors, I refer to this evening's meeting agenda, pages 9 and 11, in regard to my questions which I asked without notice on the 24th of May 2021. Also, my questions on notice and the responses provided by the General Manager, which some minutes ago you all confirmed. You may recall, Mayor and General Manager, you both categorically promised at that meeting of the 24th of May 2021, you would reply in writing to my questions that I asked without notice. The minutes of that meeting records for my question 1, response, and I quote, the General Manager advised will reply to Mr Bellicott in writing. And for question 2, response, the Mayor responded that relates to the first question and we'll take that as part of that. I must say for question 2, whilst it related to the first question, it deserved a separate answer. I contend that you have never answered the questions previously and your reply or responses in writing were completely evasive and thus in no way whatsoever have you answered the questions. Yes, you may say you have replied and or responded, however you certainly have not answered them. There is, I believe, a big difference. Mayor and General Manager, I now ask again for the 3rd time the questions about the information I received from the appropriate authority that inspectors have visited the site and working with business owner to ensure compliance at Providore Place. The questions not answered were 2 and 3 and were directed to the General Manager.
Mr Bellicott, we've seen the questions and they have been responded to. If you have more information,
May I finish my
if you
question?
have further information that you would care to share with us in writing, then that we may need to respond to, I'll be happy to do that. However, I'm not prepared to respond to any further to your comments. I take it as comment.
Well, I would contend they have not been answered, Mayor.
And that's your
And others
opinion.
who have read the responses.
Then they perhaps might like to
Might I ask another question?
You know,
My other question 5 on notice was all about the installed and portable gas heaters at Providore Place. And this was not even responded to or answered at all. I ask again question 5, rephrased. What is the reason for the necessity to permit portable liquefied petroleum gas, that's LPG, gas heaters, inside and outside of Providore Place when council, at considerable expense, had installed overhead large industrial natural gas heaters? Is it because there is insufficient number installed? Are the ones installed inefficient? Or was it poor planning or design of the building that
again,
necessitates all those extra
Mr.
heaters?
Devonport, that question you have put in writing has been responded to in writing. I will take that as comment as well.
I beg your pardon, Mayor, but was it not answered? Yes, it answered that you had portable heaters. Yes, you answered that the proprietor of one of the tenancies, they belonged to him or you were responsible for the gas. That actual question of why they were required was certainly not answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devonport. Again, I'll take that as comment.
It's certainly not a comment, Mayor. It's a
Mr.
pardon me, Mayor.
Devonport,
It's a direct question.
Mr. Devonport,
You're being evasive. Thank you.
I'm simply telling you that you've had the question answered as we have undertaken to do.
Look,
Thank you.
Please, can you understand plain English?
Mr.
And the
Devonport,
rest of the councillors?
Mr. Devonport, that's enough. Thank you.
So I've just got to be a good boy and accept everything that's dished up. Thank you. No longer.
Mr. Hess, your
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. My name is Tim Hess. I'm a resident of 1 Henderson Place in Sprayton for 35 years, which runs up Wood Rising Avenue. During this time, we witnessed tremendous growth in our residential development in our area, and most recently the construction and development of the Devonport Country Club. Sadly, Wood Rising Avenue has very limited footpath development, and as such is fast becoming a road safety hazard, with local residents, particularly the elderly and their grandchildren, being forced to work on the road whilst commuting the area. Over the past 12 months, traffic levels have significantly increased, in our opinion, and the amount of time until a serious accident involving pedestrian occurs. We would very much appreciate our council giving serious thought and consideration for the commencement of a footpath project to complete the existing footpath network in the area. Ideally, a continuous footpath extending along Wood Rising Avenue from Mersey Main Road to the Devonport Country Club entrance would be ideal and most beneficial to all pedestrians in the local and wider community. We have undertaken a petition which has been signed by 175 of our residents in that region, which fully supports our request for the footpath development.
And you'd like to present that
Yes,
petition,
I could,
Mr.
thank you.
Hess? Thank you. I might ask, Ms. Peters, would you accept that, please? And given your request, I would ask the gentleman to perhaps to explain the process once we've received the petition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, through you, Mayor, the Local Government Act is quite prescriptive around petitions, so there's an assessment that we undertake of that, and most likely, if it complies, we'll bring it back to council at the next meeting with a time frame to turn it around and come back with a report.
Thank you. I have a second question.
Absolutely.
The second question I have is in relation to the footbridge being planned to connect Sprayton to Maidstone Park. I'd just like to know, is that being treated as a priority over our footpath request?
There's separate projects, but I'm not sure the gentleman, and that will be dealt with as part of our budget deliberations, but I'm not sure whether the gentleman has anything to add at this point.
It's through you, Mayor. In the different projects in many ways. The infill of footpaths in Wood Rising is sort of a local footpath issue, whereas the bridge is seen as part of a broader sort of cycleway network extension. Is it being prioritised over the other? It's in the draft budget at the moment, the bridge. That's been in Council's Forward Works program now for 3 or 4 years. There's been some correspondence that's come through to Council seeking that bridge over a number of years. But there's also, yes, some funds in the current budget that's unallocated for existing footpath sections as well. So there is some funding opportunities there. And
as you're aware, Mr Hess, there are a range of priorities that Council will need to work through, but certainly thank you for bringing it to us again. And as the General Manager has said, there is a process we need to go through.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments? Moving along, item 3.4 is notices of motion, and we have a couple on books from councillors. 3.4.1 is around Youth Council, and the motion put by Councillor Milborn, and I'm seeking a second.
Sorry. I'm happy to second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Laycock. Councillor Milborn is the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, as we all know, children are our future, and I get the pleasure in working with children every day, which is just a wonderful way to exist. This offers an opportunity to explore a number of our youth to local government. For example, tonight's agenda provides topics ripe for youth input, such as Councillor Alexiou's motion for scooters in the city, as well as the Highfield Park Master Plan, both which could be workshopped at a youth council level and the ideas brought back to councillors for further discussion. This motion directly complements the regional youth strategy adopted in 2019. The officer's comments to the motion directly addresses how this youth council can assist with the youth strategy. I'd just like to also note that in the supporting comments, it does state that the council's youth development officer will facilitate the council. However, the Devonport City Council does not have a youth development officer, but I have been assured that a relevant officer from the Community Services Department will work with this council if it is formed. I look forward to hearing comments from my fellow councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milborn. Councillor Laycock is the second.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to Councillor Milborn for putting this notice of motion forward. As she has just said, it will go really well with our regional youth strategy that we did adopt a couple of years ago. I'd just like to say that this time we've got plenty of time to workshop and have a look at it after not after the council meeting tonight, but a bit further down the track, because there are lots of things we need to look at. This council did get the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council going a few years ago, but after a few months it did fall over, mainly because we chose to hold their meeting after school, and that was very difficult because that age group have, of course, extra study, they have sport, they have work commitments. We even had a minibus that went and picked them up, and it was a bit disappointing sometimes after school we got there and there was no representatives from the school. However, I think if we have a real red hot go at this time, it can only be beneficial for our city because we need to listen to our youth, and I'm sure this is one way that we can do it. Councillor Milburn, you did mention when we discussed it briefly at the last workshop, I think that the schools could be quite open to the students coming down to council during school hours, and I think that is the answer to it. And I think that will give us a really good addition to our youth strategy, and of course something that we need to sit and listen to these young people to see it go forward. So I look forward to our workshop, and I look forward to this going through tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDermott.
Thank you. Yes, well done, Councillor Milborn. But just my question is, when do you aim for this to start up? Is it for next year, or are you hoping to start it up this year?
just chatting with our community forum officer that we thought we could start it possibly this year. We'll see if we can get it sort of workshop quick enough. Otherwise, we'll be definitely starting it in 2022.
No problem at all. And yes, I was going to ask about the youth development officer, but that's all right. So that's something we've just got to work on. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Councillor Holster?
Yes, I think this is a good proposal. I know in the past we have had that youth council, and the issue was having the kids get here at a suitable time. So maybe during school hours might be the ideal. Sooner the better.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Councillor Milborn, for this. I think the getting the ideas and opinions and engagement of young people in making our city the best it can be is really important, and getting their ideas will only benefit us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Councillor Milborn, close.
Thank you very much for all your very positive comments there. I look forward to getting council up and running. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.4.2 is a bird pilot program, and the motion has been put by Councillor Alexia. Is the move of the motion? Councillor Alexia. Yes, please, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Alexia.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're probably not all familiar with Bird. They're actually a scooter hire company in California. They're currently in the phase of building Bird 3. So they started off with Bird 1. Bird partners with cities across the globe to develop programs that maximise the positive impact of micro-mobility. The company has been in contact with me seeking feedback on introducing a pilot program for our city. Having considered it, I think it might be a really good fit for our living city to really look at maybe developing something like an electric scooter hire company for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yes, look, I'm quite interested to have this come to a workshop so we can look into it and delve into it a lot further. It's very interesting and certainly looks like something that we could probably take to other councils and show them all about it later on. And I think that's the way we should go with a lot of... I'm broken. Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Milborn, for the lend. Yeah, it'd just be interesting if we can learn more about this and decide that we do develop something like this. Perhaps that's the way that we can show other councils how we can share the information, share the resources, and encourage other councils to do similar. So I'm really looking forward to the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Alexia, close.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. There's probably a fair few questions we might have once we get the workshop up and running. Having a Zoom meeting with the developer in California recently, it sounds pretty positive. He's very positive about our city. And the study that they made, they picked Devonport City Council, the Devonport City area, to maybe provide a pilot program for our city. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 4 is planning authority matters, and there are no items on this agenda for this month. Item 5 is reports. 5.1 is a tender report for contract CT0299 River Road Coastal Pathway. Do I have a move of the recommendation, please?
So moved.
Second.
Councillor Alexia, Councillor Mervyn.
Thank you, Mayor. It's all in the report. It's going to be an integral link to continuation of the coastal pathway, which will provide the necessary safety measures for people accessing between Devonport and Ambleside River Road and the fantastic new coastal pathway. It's worth noting that it's come well under the budget, which is good news. So,
Thank you, Councillor Lexler.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it's going to be a significant improvement for that little area along River Road there. I just wanted to point out to Mr. Skirving that in that area, I've travelled that area daily on a regular basis. I do notice there's quite a fair few pedestrians and runners using that cycling path along there. I hear quite a few comments of people not using the sidewalk instead of using that cycling path. Just want to mention that to you. Yeah.
Any other comments? Councillor Ennis.
Thank you. So there is, just trying to look at the map or the picture, does it mean that there's going to be nothing actually separating the road and the path? It's just going to be the path there, but it will be noticeable because it will be concrete, will it? That'll be the difference.
Mr. Skirving, thank you.
Through you, Mayor, so there's a curb treatment obviously on the side of the road, so there's grade separation still, so effectively a wider footpath treatment, same width as the new section coastal pathway that's going along River Road. But no barrier between the road and the cycle path.
Can I ask just another? So it's going to be on the river side. So does that mean there'll be no parking on the river side?
Some sections of that road already have controlled parking, and I don't believe they're proposed to be changed. Certainly through some of the tighter bends on that road, there's no standing and no parking. But this project is an extension on the outer side edge of the road formation, so it's not taking up any of the current roadway at all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ennis. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Murphy, close.
Thank you, Mayor. I take Councillor Ennis's point in relation to asking these questions. There are also sections of the current coastal pathway along River Road itself, or with the coastal pathway, there is no separation. You actually drive straight off the road onto the new coastal pathway. So I think what we're achieving here is going to provide a very good balance of safety. So it's probably going to be above what the current pathway has. Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 5.2 is the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group's annual plan and budget. Do we have a move or recommendation, please?
So moved.
Councillor Jarman, do you have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Lexler, thank you. Councillor Jarman.
I'm always interested in waste. It's terrible, isn't it? I just, again, reiterate about how we do very good resource sharing at times with the councils that are involved in this, and they're doing such a great job, and I just love every time they mention that they're trying to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from waste. So important. So it's certainly an environmentally friendly style of thing that they're trying to do. We're getting better at it all the time, and very happy to put this motion up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lexler.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Jarman. There's a huge benefit for the community, and we all need to think a little bit differently about how we use waste. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Holster.
Question, does this actually cover the waste levy that's going to be put on the green waste, for instance, that goes over the weighbridge at Darwin?
I think they're spending what they're going to achieve from the last cloud.
Through you, Mayor, the work of this group is currently funded by a voluntary levy of $5 per tonne, which is collected and funds these initiatives. The introduction of a statewide waste levy, which the government have proposed, if that occurs, that would supersede this levy, and this would no longer apply. And although it hasn't been confirmed, the intention would be that the work of this group would then be funded from the state levy.
Which councils will still collect.
Correct, which we'll collect, and that's planned to be introduced at $20 a tonne and increasing up to $60 a tonne.
So this is a similar situation to what Tasmania did, what came from the Treasury Department to have Taswater formed. We all know what the mess of Taswater is now as our additional costs. So is this likely to do the same thing with waste? Like I believe on the mainland now there's some levies over there for 140, and I'm probably going back a few years there, per tonne.
Yes, through you, Mayor, the legislation is yet to be finalised through Parliament. However, the model that is being proposed, the Minister has assured local government and the waste sector that 100% of the funds collected will be quarantined for waste activities, which is unlike some of the levies on the mainland where it gets sliced off and goes into consolidated revenue. So that he has provided that assurance that it will be reinvested into waste initiatives. And from what we've seen from the Minister, he is committed to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Jarman to close.
Thank you. Look, just in consideration of Councillor Holster's queries, this group are amazing, what they've done, what they've achieved. So I certainly got every confidence in them, and also to be a watchdog over what the state government does do and what they decide to do. So I certainly have a lot of faith in what they do as a group. And also their Rethink Waste Facebook page, their website is just incredible. I share it all the time. It's just wonderful because they're really making people stand up and really think about what they're putting into their different bins. And bring on FOGO, I can't wait. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 5.3, annual plan and budget estimates. The recommendation will be on page 24. Do I have a mover, please?
So moved, Mayor.
Councillor Laycock, and seconder.
I'll second that.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Laycock.
Thank you, Mayor. A little bit of a technical problem, is that right?
No.
No.
There you go.
I am now switched on at last. Right. I am happy to move the annual plan. Over the last 4 years, this council hasn't had huge rate increases, which has been fantastic. And that's due to the prudent financial management through our general management senior staff, as well as, of course, the work that the elected members around this table have done during budget deliberations. There's been a lot of cost-saving ideas come up over the last few months when we were discussing this. One thing, of course, has been the refinancing of our debt, which has saved our ratepayers thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at the same time, we've managed to bring through a capital works program of over 15 million. So I think that's a budget we can be proud of. This year's budget is based on a modest 1.5% increase, which represents 0.75 each year over the last couple of years, and that is well below the CPI index. All things taken into account, we should finish the 2021-2022 financial year with a modest surplus of around $460,000. Strong rate base is critical to any council's financial position, and Devonport is displaying very strong growth at the moment through our Living City project, bringing it with renewed confidence in our commercial sector. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Laycock. Councillor Murphy is the second.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose this is to be viewed in many ways, but it is necessarily can be viewed in only really one way, and that's a positive way. The simple fact that we have a current environment where we're seeing councils throughout Tasmania increasing their rates exponentially, and to see the rate level that we're now proposing tonight, I think does provide us with some confidence moving forward, and I think should provide the community with some confidence moving forward. There has been a lot of work done on this, and there has been, some very fortunate things that come our way. I think COVID was a thing for Tasmania, which has seen spend and everything else and positive growth in different sectors in the community. So I think what's been put on the table tonight moving forward is an extremely positive step.
Thank you, Councillor Milburn. Councillor Perry?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I concur with the previous two speakers, and I'd just like to add some further comment. For 5 of the last 7 years, we've had no general rate increase, which is a staggering result, really. And the 2 years that we did, including this year, are very, very close to CPI. Over the last 15 years, the Devonport City Council and the Latrobe Council have been the lowest rate increase councils in Tasmania, us two, so that's an incredible effort. And when you compare our rate increase this year across against other councils in Tasmania, we are in the top, the lowest 2 or 3, or down near the bottom of rate increases, which is an incredible effort. And also considering we were forecasting a $2.2 billion loss in the current financial year about to end, and the final result's not in, but it's going to be a very small profit or a very small loss. So that's a backdrop, or against a backdrop of COVID uncertainty for the last 16 months. It's been an incredible effort by this council to retain the discipline and the ability to say no to some things, and we've had to, and that's not easy. It's not easy for some people to say no, and we've been terribly disciplined. Terribly is probably not the right word, but we're incredibly disciplined, and it starts with our management team, of course, with the general manager and the senior management team, and I think it flows right through our workforce, and that can also be demonstrated with the recent EVA or enterprise agreement that had 85% take-up rate first vote, which has never happened before either. So that gives an indication that we have a very, very satisfied workforce. That's the greater workforce, not just this building, that's our entire workforce. So that, on top of the budget, is also an outstanding result and demonstrates what great leadership this organisation has. I'm just really proud of this budget. I've been on council since 2009, and this, given all the circumstances, is one I'm most proud of. So congratulations to the entire team that created it, the councillors that have supported it through the process in the last few months. And let's hope it's endorsed tonight. I'm sure it will be. And once again, I'm really proud of where we're at. And as Councillor Murphy said, you can only look at this budget in one light, and that's positively. It cannot possibly, by any reasonable person, be considered negative. So congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perry. Councillor Alexia?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Perry. It's great words there. I just wanted to make a comment of how easy it was as a councillor, well not easy, but the process of going through the budget, to Jeff Griffiths providing us all the information, right through all the staff, how it was broken down and how it made good sense. We could always ask questions to council if you had any certain ideas or anything you want to put to council. So great work to the team. It's great to see that they're an increase to 1.5, so ratepayers are pretty happy about that. We move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jarman.
Thank you. Well said, Councillor Perry. All I can say is our General Manager is a very lucky man, because he knows that he has an amazing group of staff that work next to him and with him. And when they're dealing with things like this, it's not easy. COVID was unprecedented. It was incredible. What the staff have put up with and how they've dealt with it, I'm so proud of them, because it's not easy. Everyone in the world has had a headache with this terrible virus, and what they've achieved and how they've gone about it, I've just utmost respect for every single one of them. The hours they've put in, no one knows what they do. They really don't. Council's always a dirty word to most people. Well, it's a clean word this time. Our budget is amazing. We don't like rate increases no matter what, but when it has to happen, we are the shining light compared to some of the councils in this state, let alone the country. So well done, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holster.
Yes, I think my main interest is in the capital expenditure. This year we have $6 million towards new assets, and the other $8 million is renewal. And I think these are very important figures. Over the years, some of our surrounding councils have put capital in of so many million and then only spent half of it, and then they've wondered why over a number of years that they've virtually, well, they've been sacked. So I never want to see that happen here, and I don't believe it ever will. That's all I have to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I guess I just want to endorse all the comments that have been made. I know how hard the general manager and the staff have worked to put this together, worked through the last 12 months. It's not been easy, but some of the work that we've invested in, our staff and equipment around being part of the digital age, I think has helped as well. But our staff have got jumped on board and been part of it, and we really appreciate that team aspect of it. So I want to acknowledge all of that work and the work that our team at Untitled has done as well. And I will ask Councillor Laycock to close the debate.
Thank you, Mayor. And it was, even though I mentioned you as part of the elected members around the table, I'd like to just mention you separately and say that you've led the team very well alongside Matthew. It's been mentioned, I think, by Councillor Jarman. We don't know all the work that goes on, but I can tell you there would be hundreds of hours of meetings between the Mayor and the General Manager, and I would just like us to be able to recognise that as part of tonight's debate, I suppose. But in closing, I'd like to say that the majority of us have had faith in the Living City project for some years, a number of years, and we continue to do so. I've had many comments from our ratepayers concerned that with this project and the debt, that the rates would go sky high. So I think tonight is another budget that's testament that what we said we'd do, we're doing. And these people now have turned around and they're so looking forward now. They can see what's happened with this building, with Providore Place going along quite nicely, and the next, and stage 2 coming along quite quickly. With Living City, as I've said earlier, we're displaying strong growth, and it does bring that renewed confidence back into the community sector. We'll continue to grow and become the leading city on the northwest coast. Thank you.
Confident we are already, but I'll close the debate and put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 5.4 is our financial management strategy for 2022 to 2031. Thank you, Councillor Perry. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Perry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, it's all in the report. It's essentially a 10-year reiteration of what we've just commented on for this year's budget. Of course, with the COVID uncertainty, well, at this stage, the COVID uncertainty start to abate. Well, the events of the last couple of days might challenge that, but it's nice to go out to the 10th year on this occasion with a bit more certainty than perhaps we did last year. So, but it's a very good result. It's solid. And we have been good at meeting our 10-year forecast as the years go on, and I'm sure this one will provide us with the same security as we've had in the past. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councillor Perry. I think it's a good sign of stability more than anything else moving forward, and it should give the ratepayers some confidence, as I said earlier, in relation to the previous agenda item, taking into consideration what's happening around the state. Full credit must go to the finance team. And again, we can look at it and move forward positively.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? I'll ask Councillor Perry to close.
Consider it closed.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 5.4. No, we've done that. Move on. Item 5.5 is the Congregational Cemetery Master Plan 2022, which has now been brought back for adoption after a final round of community consultation. Do I have a move, please?
So moved.
Councillor Milborn, thank you. Seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Holster, thank you. Councillor Milborn.
Thank you, Mayor. Great master plan to to preserve our heritage, really important part of our heritage. It's quite interesting to know that it's one of the oldest in Tasmania and needs to be maintained and looked after, which this must thank us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Yes, the bar graft is interesting, the support of the community, around 90%. The no's are way under 20%, and I don't know, didn't get a score at all, so I think it's very supportive from the community to want the maintenance continued.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Milburn to close. Consider it closed. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 5.6 is a framework for unsolicited proposals, the assessment framework. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Councillor Perry, Councillor Milton, Councillor Perry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This particular proposal gives us a consistent approach to dealing with unsolicited approaches from those in the community or businesses or investment groups that want to invest in our city. This will provide transparency and consistency not only to those people but to us as well, so that we can deal with the public in a transparent and open manner. And I think the report pretty much says that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be a follow on from the consistent theme that the council's moving towards, being that open and transparent. This particular policy goes towards ensuring that we can be making decisions without having to be sort of questioned too intensively in relation to how those decisions were made. Because there's a process that has to be undertaken now. It's clear, it's there for everyone to see, so we can actually make an informed decision knowing that we follow our policies.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Yeah, I think the certainty in the process is really key here. Often people say, "Oh, how did that get through? How did that go about?" Shonky and all sort of comments like that. This process certainly will now have some certainty for people, and anyone can sort of understand what's going on and make a bid to do something in our city. So I support it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Perry, please.
No, I thank the previous speakers and consider it closed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6 is information. 6.1 is workshops and briefing sessions held since our last council meeting. Do I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Perry. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Merely procedural.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Precisely the same. Thank you.
Any comments, questions? Councillor Chuck? No? Councillor Murphy.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.2 is the Mayor's monthly report. Do I have a mover, please?
You do. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Laycock, seconder.
Happy second.
Councillor Wexler, thank you. Councillor Laycock, any comments?
Thank you. Been very busy again, Mayor. One thing I saw that you attended the Legat GMC, and congratulations on your role on being re-elected to that. Very important committee with other mayors, some other mayors, and the Premier around the state. Anything riveting come out of that you can share with us? That
No, it was a very brief meeting.
Very brief.
Because it was in the middle, or just before or after the state elections.
Okay then.
Looking on to the next one.
We'll wait for the next one. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Alexia.
Yeah, great job, Madam Mayor, thank you. I just wanted to know how you went with the breakfast, the Costas, how did that go, of the morning tea event with Costas? Did you get to meet some of the workers at Costas?
Yeah, yes I did. It was mostly to acknowledge their partners, their suppliers, their transport, their suppliers and those sorts of people, but there were certainly some of their staff there. It was a nice event, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Murphy.
Thanks, Mayor. I will follow on with riveting questions. Is there any riveting you can tell us from the Cradle Coast representatives meeting?
Well, I'm not actually the rep on the Cradle Coast Reps committee, but I'm not sure whether Councillor Jarman as the representative would like to. The minutes are actually part of the next agenda as well, and they're fairly detailed minutes, so I'll give you an update. Any other comments? Councillor Laycock to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are any against? Motion is carried unanimously. And item 6.3 is the General Manager's report for the same period. Do I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Perry, do I have a second? Councillor Jarman, Councillor Perry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, the General Manager's been busy once again, and I just want to reiterate a point I made when we were talking when we approved the annual plan. The EA was renegotiated, and it's important to note that I've already said 85% voted in favour of that at the first vote, which is a stunning result, and credit to everyone involved, including the workforce and the management. And this was on the back of the 12-month, not a wage freeze, but the EA was deferred for 12 months because of COVID last year. So not only has the workforce accepted the proposal, they also accept that on the back of 12 years with no increase, 12 months with no increase, which says a lot about the relationship between our management team, particularly the General Manager and his workforce. So full credit to the General Manager and his team on that. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jarman.
No, so noted. Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Laycock.
Thank you, Mayor. General Manager, I note that you attended the Local Government Professionals Tasmania's Awards in Launceston. Devonport Council was successful. I'd just like to highlight this. I did know it before, but I think it's worthwhile repeating. The Devonport City Council was successful in winning a statewide award for innovative management, innovative in recognition of council's role as a leader in digital transformation. And of course, I know the General Manager doesn't mind if I say it's 99% due to Jeff Griffin, our IT expert that sits over there very quietly, doesn't have any paper around him, and just scares me every time I look at him because of that. I'm a bit of a paper person. I'm trying to get there, but it is just wonderful to see that Jeff and his team and Matthew, the whole council was recognised because of this this award, justly deserved, definitely. And I'm sure that Matthew was very proud of our council when he was at that conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor
Yes, I just wanted to say, following on from Leon's comments, how well the ASU obviously have got a great relationship with the management staff, and it went through well. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Holster.
Yes, I see the General Manager went to the audit panel meeting. Anything come out of there that we need to worry about?
The minutes are in the agenda as well. I think it's very detailed minutes in the audit report as well. Thank you. Councillor
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Ennis for making it political. Very good. And just on Councillor Laycock's comments to Mr. Griffiths, Mr. Griffiths doesn't even deal in cash. That's how much his flavour for paper. So yeah, well done, Jeff, and congratulations. I'll consider the close of that. Thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 6.4 is the Development and Health Services report for the 2-month period. Do I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Do I second?
Seconded.
Sorry, Councillor. Councillor Holster.
It's all in the report. It's interesting to see all the statutory requirements that we have to deal with. fairly big portfolio of legislation that our departments have to deal with. So nothing further to add.
Thank you, Councillor Milburn.
Another very thorough report from Ms Lumsden again. Thank you very much. Nothing further.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Holster, close.
Consider it closed.
I put the motion, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.5 is the infrastructure and works report. Do I have a move, please?
So moved.
Councillor John.
I'll second that.
Councillor Perry, thank you. Councillor John.
I've got a couple of questions, if I may, through you, Mayor, to, assuming Mr Skirving. Thank you. Post 61, it's just talking about the theatre door upgrade that was not needed. Which door and why? If I may. Oh, sorry to Mr Dobson. I do apologise.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the theatre doors were investigated as an option to increase the flow of patrons in and out of the building, but we've changed some of our practices in that space.
Oh, well done. Oh, excellent. Well, great saving. And hopefully we can put 14,000 into something else in the theatre. And just two others, depending on who wants to answer them then. Old Acre Street looks fantastic. It was just one comment I wanted to say, finally. After all that work that's been done there, it was getting a bit painful, but it looks amazing. And just one other was the new bridge across the Don River. So that's near the railway bridge. So no more underneath the railway bridge, that'd be great. Where did this come from? Has it been in the plans for a while? Because it's a wonderful idea.
Through you, yes, this is part of the coastal pathway project.
Oh, it's part of Coastal Pathway?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realise. It's wonderful. I grew up in that area and I can remember kids going underneath that terrible railway bridge, and I'm amazed we didn't have deaths. So this is going to be incredible, having a bridge there for a walking track. Absolutely wonderful. All right, thank you very much.
Councillor Perry, yes.
Yes, just like to add, everyone can see that there's lots going on in our community, and it's good to see. Everyone can see there's lots going on in our community, it's good to see.
Are there any other comments, Councillor Murphy?
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to note that Council's technical support team have made an application to mast for a light finally at the boat ramp.
Yes.
Taking into consideration we're now the northern mecca for tuna fishing here in Bass Strait. I suspect that it will be very much appreciated.
Very good. Any other comments, Councillor Alexio?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to make a comment on the playground at Cow Place. And it's a great playground there. Let's hope the kids get a bit of use out of that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions? Councillor John to close.
Let's consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.6 is CENETERY Strategy 2011 to 2030, and this is the Year 10 update. Can I have a member, please? No one wants to mention that word? Thank you, Councillor Milburn. One second.
Second.
Councillor Alexio, Councillor Milburn.
It's all there in the new strategy. Once again, it's important to have these things moving forward. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alexio.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that's all there in the report, and it's great to see. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Milburn to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.7 is the Highfield Park Master Plan Year 3 status update. Do I have a move, please?
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, thank you.
Second.
Councillor Jarman, thank you. Councillor Murphy.
As stated in the report, it's progressing along nicely.
Thank you. Councillor Jarman.
Yes, and I did note that lovely Kate Von Rock is looking to do a community project up there for art as well, which is just wonderful. So in the Advocate the other day. And it's a park a lot of people don't realise is there. So I hope more people will now use it. People don't know it's off Forest Avenue, and it's a wonderful, it is enclosed, and it's beautiful. I was embarrassed that I hadn't been there until we started on this. And it's an amazing space, and it's really quite big too. And so I hope people can get up there and really make the most of all the wonderful things we're putting into it. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.8 is the unconfirmed minutes of the Cattle Coast Authority Reps meeting of June 1. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Perry, Councillor Murphy.
In merely procedural.
Thank you, Councillor
It's all on your report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider it closed.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 6.9 is the unconfirmed minutes of the Devonport Council Audit Panel's last meeting. Do I have a move, please?
So moved. Second.
Councillor Perry, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Perry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Basically, Councillor Murphy and I are the council's two representatives on this audit panel. And I think Councillor Murphy would probably agree that in the last 12 months, we've been getting receiving some glowing comments from other members on the panel that aren't associated with council. So that's a strong indication that everything's working well for us from an audit perspective, and long may it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Perry. There has been a lot of work done on that committee. It's chaired extremely well. We're getting some good independent oversight. And obviously there's probably more questions considered in closed session.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions? Councillor Alexia.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and it's great to have Councillor Perry and Councillor Murphy on board there. Good work, guys.
Any other comments? Councillor Perry, close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 7 is section 23 committees. We are section 23 committees in recess at the moment. That brings us to the end of the opening part of our council meeting. Can I have a mover to move into closed session, please?
So moved, Mayor.
Councillor Perry, Councillor Mycroft. Any comments?
Consider it closed.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried unanimously. I thank members of the gallery for attending tonight, and you're all welcome to the new year.